Hey, how's it going guys? Drakilia here. Welcome back to episode 2.1 of Sorceress High School. If you watched the first episode about iframes, I hope you learned something and put it into practice. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more. With that said, let's get going with the video. So in this video, we're gonna be going through some animation cancels for Awakening. Just a quick disclaimer, I might miss a couple, but if you know them and you want to share them with everyone, feel free to leave that in the comments below. With that said, let's get going. So starting up with C-swaps, fastest ways to get into C-swap, you can either directional key, either left or right and LMB and press C. Just like that. Also for C swap, there's also the SC swap, which is a fairly common one. It looks like this. Just press S plus C. There's also the WC. There's another animation. You can also do Midnight Stinger and then press C. You could use Scroll Flare into C. You can use Shadow Ignition into C. Or you can do Engulfing Shadow into C. There's quite a couple ways to get into Awakening mode from Unawaken. Probably too many to mention in this video, but feel free to play around with everything. I just press C after every skill and you'll see if it works or not. Moving on to Blaze of Darkness cancels. Now there's a couple ways to do Blaze of Darkness fast. Blaze of Darkness is basically just shift R and B. You see the whole animation there, it takes a bit. But to shorten it, you can directional side swipe or however you want to call it. You use A or D, L and B. Very simple. And then you're gonna do shift and R and B for Blaze of Darkness while you're spinning. It kind of looks like this. Either side, left or right, L and B, and shift R and B. It has a bit of timing, so just be patient and practice it a bit. You'll get it. There's also a bit of a harder way to take them out when you're in Unawaken. You're basically gonna iframe, then press C, and then you're gonna press Shift R and B, right mouse button. Okay, so it kind of looks something like this. That one requires a bit of more timing, at least in my opinion. You can either use the WW hotkey, then press C, and Shift R and B. C, Shift R and B. And obviously to throw them out, you're gonna press Shift Space, but remember that you need to have Flow Cry of Darkness for that. Okay, so moving on to Rushing Crow cancels. You can do Rushing Crow and then WW for faster iframe, just like that. Just as a side note, if you want to go back quickly to Unawaken, just Midnight Stinger. You can also iframe backwards or to any side after doing Rushing Crow, which puts you in the Linger Frontal Guard animation, as you can see. Moving on to Violation cancels, you have your side attack, which is this one right here, either left or right L and B. That goes into Violation. To cancel Violation itself, you can do a couple of ways. You can either do Shift W L and B to do that up slash animation, and then W R and B for Violation. You can also press R and B just before you get into your block animation. You're gonna go into W R and B, which is Violation. It kind of looks like this. Okay, before going to the block. Instead of doing this, you're gonna go into Violation. To cancel Violation's animation and get to the last hit, you'll be just pressing W R and B, then L and B after she starts spinning. It looks like this. Again, W, R and B, then L and B. And you can do that with every other animation too. /1. You can do it with the block one, sort of, before the block. Like that. You can also use Shadow Leap, then into Violation, straight into it. Like that. Going into Shadow Eruption cancels, you can do the Midnight Stinger, and Shadow Eruption is basically Shift L and B for Midnight Stinger. Then you're gonna press Shift F for Shadow Eruption. At the same time, that will also use Scouring Shadow, which is this kick right here. The one that gives you the magic accuracy rate buff, this one. I have it hotkeyed to page up, that's on my mouse button, but also keep in mind that I'm not pressing it, it's just using it when you do the Midnight Stinger Shadow Eruption cancel. It does it automatically. Another way to cancel the Shadow Eruption is to iframe, then press Shift F for Shadow Eruption, and iframe again. Looks like this. With this one, be careful how fast you iframe, because if you iframe too fast, then the skill won't go off at all. Kinda like that. But you can also try the eruption cancel with the directional LMB, which is this. Also the one that gives you the evasion buff. So you basically do either side, left or right, doesn't matter. And then just press Shift F. Does it a bit faster. The Green Reaper of Judgement cancel. This one is not used too often, or at least I don't see it too often. You can either do one iframe, or you can go into Storming Crow, the flip iframe. The more important thing that you have to keep in mind is that when you hit the floor, you're gonna press SC and then quickly hold the left mouse button and R and B for the Green Reaper. It's gonna look something like this. Again, you can do it either with one iframe or two iframes, doesn't matter. Just remember S plus C is what you'll be using, and left mouse button and right mouse button for Grim Reaper. Looks like this again. So Dream of Doom cancels, you're basically only gonna be relying on the Imminent Doom cooldown. If it's on cooldown, then you're gonna cast slow. If it's off cooldown, then you can try fast. Just like that. And that's pretty much it for that one. There's nothing too special, at least that I'm aware of. If you do, again, leave it in the comments. So doing Shard Explosion cancel is if just in case you use the skill for any combos, when you use Shard Explosion, you can cancel it with Engulfing Shadow. So you hotkey your Shard Explosion skill to anything that's suitable for you, and then you're gonna press Engulfing Shadow. It's like that. Moving on to Dark Flame, you can cancel it with iframe, like that. It's also used for movement. You have your ultimate Dark Flame, which is sometimes useful because you can rotate it, but it's only useful if you know and you're sure that it's off cooldown. As you can see, it's protected mostly the whole way. There's a gap in there that is unprotected, but hopefully you won't get grabbed or anything like that. Moving on to turn backslash, you're basically gonna cancel the spin animation. So just iframe to either side, left or right, doesn't matter, and quickly press right mouse button and backwards directional key, which is S or whatever you have it for you on your keyboard. Remember to do it a bit quickly, not too quickly. It requires a bit of timing, a bit of getting used to, but once you get it down, you'll pretty much do it automatically all the time. It looks like this. Remember that if you do it too fast, it's not gonna do anything, or if you do it too slow, it's just gonna do the spin animation. But as long as you do it in a generous amount of time, you're pretty much gonna get it every time. It's practice, you get that one down pretty quick. The only thing harder than that is getting the 10% Black Star Spirit Rage one. It's a bit harder, so you basically return backslash, you'll have to do the backwards R and B, then press L and B. It's gonna look like this. That one requires a lot of timing, but with a a bit of practice, you'll get it down. This next cancel is just like a pre-buff one that I like to use when I have Shields of Darkness off cooldown, and I also want the 20 AP from the Q buff. So I just basically do Shield of Darkness first, then do the Q buff. It looks like this. Like that, then you got both of them. You do them in that order is a bit faster than doing it the other way around. It's something to keep in mind. So sometimes when you're iframing with the side out, usually happens to me when I'm doing backwards iframe, or when I try to iframe backwards, it just starts walking, just like this. As you can see, it has a 2-second cooldown like that. So a couple ways to bypass it. You can either use the Absolute Darkness on a hotkey, or you can use a Sinister Omen. But since they added Absolute Darkness one to be able to use with hotkey, I suggest using that one since it doesn't have a cooldown. You're basically gonna iframe, use it, and you're gonna be in awakening mode. So keep that also in mind. It's gonna change your stance basically. You can do the Absolute Darkness in awakening and just go back to unawakening real quick. You can also press C after that and you'll be back in awakening if you want to. It's gonna look something like this. Iframe, backwards, and C. Yeah, you can use that out of any iframe. An awakening, doesn't matter. You want to iframe faster, and that's the way to do it. Now for the final one, we'll go into Bloody Calamity. You basically do it by iframing to either left or right and just press space and then iframe again, just like that. So Bloody Calamity, it also works forward, but only when you're in awakening. So you're basically gonna do WW and then you're gonna press spacebar. But this one only works in awakening, so keep that in mind. Well, that's gonna be it for this video. Please remember, if I left anything out, please let me know in the comments. Feel free to call me out on something if I did it wrong too. And yeah, this animation cancels are pretty straightforward. They just take a bit of practice. Pretty much key things to remember is that Midnight Stinger and Crow Flare will cancel out of pretty much anything. You also have the Absolute Darkness hotkey now. It's pretty useful when it comes to awakening. With that said, thanks for watching. Leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment below. And the homework challenge for this video is gonna be basically the same one as the Succession video. Get a kill with an animation cancel that you want, doesn't matter which one. And that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, see you soon.